I finished Ceremony in Death, which is book 5 in the In Death series and the first one for the month of December. This book is so good. It starts out actually at a funeral or maybe at like some kind of ceremony for the funeral, like before the funeral, but I think it starts out at the funeral or maybe at the like visitation before the funeral. Anyway, that part doesn't matter, except that the person whose funeral it is a former police officer who was retired and he worked with Eve. And so she's like greeting his family and, you know, giving her condolences, I guess. And his granddaughter comes up to her and says, I'm in danger, or you're in danger, or I can't even remember what the hook was at the very beginning, but she comes up to her and says something about, I need to meet with you or something. And before that happens, she is killed. So that's where we're starting with this group of people that she has gotten involved with who are semi-cultish and semi-like Satan worshipers. I don't know exactly what they are, but there's some kind of group. And Eve also just meets more people this time. We find out more about her relationship with Feeney, and he is one of the people who works at the police station. He's been kind of like a father figure to her, and he was her mentor and like taught her everything about being a cop. And so we just get to see their relationship a little bit more, and I am unprepared for anything to happen to him, by the way. And we also see Eve working with Rourke a little bit in this one as well. And so I like all that. And I am ready to see what keeps going with them. Like, I just like each book better than the one before it. And that's going to be bad going all the way through all of these books. But that's just how it is right now. So I am going to keep going. The next book is Vengeance in Death, I think, but it doesn't matter what it is because I'm going to start it on Sunday and I will be back here after I read it to let you know how it went. I finished my next In Death book and I think it's my favorite. And yes, I know I say that every time. But I think this is going to be one that stands out for me once I've finished like the whole series and I think back on all the books. I think this one is going to be one that stands out and that I remember really saying something because this is book number 6 or 7. So I'm really close to the beginning. I still have 50 books left and I still think it's going to stand out. The dogs have to save our yard from all the squirrels. Anyway, in this book specifically, well, first of all, it's called Vengeance in Death. And in this book, there is somebody from Rourke's past who is coming back to seek vengeance. But there's such a twist on this story and add in like religious fanaticism, and it was just the best. Like, I kept wanting to read it and read it and read it, even when it wasn't time to read it. I like to save these books and read them at night. And I kept finding myself during the day going, oh, I want to pick this book up and see what's happening next. And so it was really one of my favorites. Django cameo, it's a hoodie. He's got his hoodie on because it's cold. Okay. I think that's it. Like, I'm ready for my next one. I love that the way it worked out is that Christmas week, or maybe the week after Christmas, I haven't looked at how it's going to work, but Holiday in Death is going to be the read that week, and I love it. I love how it worked out that way. So I finished Holiday in Death. It was good. It happened around Christmas time, of course. That's why it's called Holiday in Death, which was perfect because I read it just around Christmas time. And so it was nice to have just a little holiday book. So I've been sitting in here working. The dogs have not cared at all. And now as soon as I start talking to myself in the computer, both of the dogs are like, hey, what's going on? Do you have some food? Can I sit with you? What's happening? So Holiday in Death was not just like a cute Christmas book because it's called In Death. So there was a serial killer and he was leaving tokens for each of the 12 days of Christmas from the song. So at the first crime scene, there was a partridge in a pear tree. and then the second, so on and so forth. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to have 12. I was worried that we were going to have 12 murders before she could solve it. I mean, I knew she would solve it because that's what these books are, but I didn't know that we were going to have, I didn't know how many deaths there would be before she solved it. So this was a cool twist, like a cool kind of murder serial killer thing, and I liked it. I don't really have any spoilers, I don't think. There's not anything that we learned about her personal life other than, I just think that she's still dealing with the whole, am I worthy of love? Like, is love something that I want in my life? And she still has all of the issues that she had with her dad and all the abuse that she had. And some of that comes back up in this book. I feel like all of these books need to come with that trigger warning about sexual abuse, sexual assault, and all of that stuff. It just came back up again like it always does. Anyway, the next one is going to be a novella, so I will check back in after I read Midnight in Death, I think it's called. So I know I said at the beginning that I wasn't sure if I was going to read just the novella for the week or if I would do one of the novellas and the regular novels, and I've decided to do both of them, especially with this one, because I just finished Midnight in Death and it was only 90 pages long. So I finished that one on Sunday, so I still have the whole week to read the other book, and so that's how I'm going to do it. So Midnight in Death is New Year's. It is New Year's right after we just had Holiday in Death, which took place during the Christmas time. This takes place on New Year's. And it is a killer that she had already arrested before, and he has now escaped from prison and is going after all the people who helped put him behind bars. And Eve is having to track him down and put him back in prison. That's pretty much it. That's what happens. We get to see just a little bit more of her and her personal life, and that's all this one was just a nice little short little story that I really enjoyed. And so I have one more left for this month and one more week, so I will be back after I've read the next book. I finished another great book in the In Death series. Is anyone surprised? This is another one that's going to stand out for me when I'm finished with the whole series. Like, I don't think that I'll remember the name of it, but when I read the synopsis again, and I remember that this is the one where her badge was taken for a little while, that will definitely remind me of everything about this book. The actual premise of the murders was really cool because they were trying to, well, I'm not going to say what they were trying to do, although really, at this point, if you're watching this, you're not worried about spoilers. So they were harvesting organs from people who were already deathly ill. Like, they didn't have long to live, or that they were just homeless and living in poverty, and they would end up killed with an organ taken, different organs from different people. And I think there were 4 murders in this one, but as we're beginning, Eve is trying to figure out what the problem is. I'm sorry, y'all know I don't ever wear my hair down, and it's humid outside, and so it's about to get bigger and bigger, and I'm trying to, I can't stand it, like, being on my face. Anyway, why do I have hair? What made this one great was Eve having to lean on friends, and she's always been super independent, and she can always do it on her own, and she doesn't need anybody, and all that stuff. And not this time. She needed her friends and her husband, and it was so great. I liked how everybody came together and just helped her and supported her. And even like Nadine, who is the news woman, who's kind of been like tangentially her friend, even her this time was like, I'm here for you. Here's what I can do in whatever way that I can do it. And so it was just great that people just came up and stepped up and said, here I am, tell me what to do. And we got to see Feeney again, which I love when we get to see him. We've added in McNabb. So her assistant lady's name is Peabody. And, well, she's her aide. her name is Peabody. And now McNabb is like their backup computer whiz guy. And he and Peabody, just the arguments that they get into is really funny. And then we've got Rourke. Of course, we always have Rourke. And so in this one, we also got to see her best friend. I don't know why I can't think of her name. And her boyfriend, and I don't know his name for some reason. He's the designer guy. Anyway, we got to see both of them a little bit in this one. It was just great, and I loved it. And I have built this little family that Eve has built. Eve has built this little family around herself, and I know who they all are. We did have a discussion in this one about having children, and Rourke was like, I would like to have children. I'm not saying that you have to quit your job and stay home with the kids, but I would like to have children. So that is already a discussion we're having in book 8. So I cannot wait to see what happens. I really want them to have kids at some point in this series. So that is going to do it for this video. Those are the 4 books that I read in the In Death series in December. And I am going to be moving on to the next 4 or maybe 5 if there's a novella in there in January. So thank you for coming along. Let's see about In Death. The last one, we had Holiday in Death and we had Midnight in Death that was about New Year's. So put up any kind of like holiday or firework emoji, because I know in the US we do fireworks on New Year's. I don't know if that's done everywhere. You guys can let me know. But fireworks for New Year's or any kind of holiday thing that you want to do that you celebrated in the month of December. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.